Hi everyone, how you going? This is Married with
Ooh, got a bit of lag going.
Sorry, give me a second. There we go. How is everyone? For all the new people here, I am Alex.
And I am Ben. I'm Alex's stunning husband.
And yeah, we are featuring Married with Dragons, which is going to be a pretty much a D&D all-in podcast.
Chat show,
whatever you want to call it.
Have a bit of fun, having a bit of chat about all things D&D. Go over some new stuff when it comes out, tips and tricks for players and DMs, both veterans of the game as well as newbies.
Yeah, so it's pretty much going to be for everyone.
Well, that's the plan anyway.
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, I'm a D&D player and Ben is a mainly DM.
Well, I mean, I play. I'm a player as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the campaign I was just playing in, which was fantastic, has just finished. So I guess technically at the moment I'm not a player, but I'm still a player and DM.
Yeah, I don't DM though. I can't deal. I don't think I could deal with it.
You might be able to give it a go someday.
One day. I feel like it takes a lot of organisation and a lot of
Improv
and
lots of improv.
And I feel like confidence as well.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you sort of get over the nerves pretty damn quick when the role play starts.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, as I said, I'm Ben. I'm Alex's husband. I've been into D&D for about 3 years now. I think. Well, yeah, it would have been about 3 years because I can still remember the trip that sort of got me into it. And I think, so I've been started off as a player, DM'd a few campaigns since then. Still enjoy playing the game as well. They're definitely two separate kettles of fish.
Yeah, and I think I've been a player for, almost 2 years.
Yeah, it'd be close to.
Almost 2 years, because I think I started just before COVID.
Yeah, it would have been a little bit before that, because I can remember I was DMing a campaign with you for a while before we got married.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
We didn't finish it, so yeah.
But no, it's we've got a little bit of D&D experience. I'm certainly quite addicted to the hobby, so I've sort of just dove straight into everything D&D as much as I can. And so I think the main idea behind this was trying to encourage new people to get into the hobby and give some tips about how to get into the game and play the game, as well as give some tips and tricks for veteran players out there for DMs. Spending some time looking through forums and groups and stuff and finding some topics that would be good to cover. We're certainly covering I think introductory stuff for the first week.
Yeah, introductory stuff and just pretty much how to get into D&D and what you can do if you are struggling to find a group to play D&D with as well. So it's pretty much aimed for everyone, and we want to talk to people that are not exactly advanced players, but veteran players, but also make it more of an informative kind of talk show with some
having a bit of fun.
Well.
Bit of fun in the meantime.
Yeah, exactly.
And some exciting stuff for at least the first episode is we do have some giveaways to do tonight.
We have two. So we have two D&D books. So one of them is a hardcover of the Player's Handbook, and the other is the Monster Manual. So we're going to break up the two giveaways throughout the stream. So the first one will be after some D&D news that we'll touch on shortly. And the second one will be a bit towards the end of the show.
Yeah. Put that one a bit towards the end. And it's good as well. So, I mean, if you're not aware, absolutely everyone who is keen on the hobby should have a copy of the Player's Handbook.
Yeah,
I know lots of people.
It's a Bible.
I know lots of people who don't have one and still manage to play the game, but that's definitely a staple. As well as the Monster Manual is fantastic for all the DMs out there as well, or if you're interested in getting started, or if you're just a player who likes to read into the stats and lore about some of the creatures. So excited to give those away.
Yes. So how to win it is just stay active in chat. Nothing too complicated. Just tell us your thoughts. Drop in a line, even if you don't want to say too much, and just say hi every 5 minutes. As long as you're active in the chat. We'll announce just before we're going to give it away. So pretty much gives you a 15 to 20 minute buffer in the chat. So yeah.
Should also clarify as well, just seeing some stuff pop up in the chat. We are indeed talking about 5th edition.
Yes.
We're not talking about the other editions. The forbidden 4th edition. We won't go down that rabbit hole. We're speaking primarily about the very popular 5th edition. I mean, that's what I've got my experience in, and I think that
I've never played any other edition but 5th edition.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other editions I have read into a little bit, and they do have pros and cons. I think, without provoking too many people, 4th edition probably has a few more cons and pros. But anyway, it'll be primarily focused on D&D 5th edition, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you want to start off with a bit of the news part of the show?
So, if anyone is following Wizards of the Coast quite religiously, like we are, you might have seen that they have brought out their first D&D game. Now, this is the confusing part that we discussed, because Ben was arguing with me that this is not the first D&D game.
Would I argue with you? I wasn't arguing.
Arguing with you all the time. But this game is, video game, which I must say before you think it's a tabletop game, even though...
It's still in the realm of D&D. It's technically not Dungeons and Dragons, but it's in the realm of D&D. For those of you who aren't aware, Wizards of the Coast are the publishers of all of your D&D
content campaigns.
Anything that's actually recognised as proper D&D content.
Yeah. So Wizards of the Coast have published their very first video game. So it is D&D Dark Alliance, Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance, if you'd like to get technical. And it's pretty much set in the Forgotten Realms, which I don't think I've played.
So technically Forgotten Realms is what any published D&D stuff is set in. So all of the published campaigns, the campaigns we're running at the moment, that's all set in the Forgotten Realms.
Oh, okay.
There have been games previously set in the Forgotten Realms, like Baldur's Gate games. They're set in the Forgotten Realms. But as you pointed out to me, which I didn't realise, this new game is actually... the first one that's been published by Wizards of the Coast, which are the publishers for your D&D modules. They make the Monster Manual, the Player's Handbook that we're giving away tonight. So it's interesting to actually, have one. I mean, the Baldur's Gate games had fantastic reviews.
And they've been out for a little while.
They have been out for a very long time. I must confess, I've never actually played one myself, but
I
think this is going to have to be the excuse for me to just jump on and start smashing them out.
Yeah, I've actually never played a D&D video game. I've only played pretty much the tabletop. But the good thing with D&D Dark Alliance is that Wizards of the Coast have come out saying that it is pretty much a game for veteran players, players that have been playing D&D for ages, and also new players. So it's pretty much bringing a new story. And for the D&D players out there, you're going to have the whole role-play combat, and there's also some cooperative gameplay involved as well. The enemies in there, I was reading up on it, so I don't know, because I'm still a bit learning. I haven't come across every single enemy in D&D, but the ones that are going to be featured in the game are the Beholder, which creeped me out a little bit, because the Beholder does creep me out. There's also going to be the Frost Giants, which I'm well aware of. And also dragons, which I've never come across one in D&D yet.
they're the big baddies that sort of have been featured for the game. I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot more more bad guys and monsters to crush in the game, but it's cool to have all of that lore, especially if you're thinking about getting into D&D and you're not sure if it's something you're interested in. I think it's probably a good place to even just jump into that and start smacking around some Frost Giants and Beholders, and then if you do end up playing a campaign, you sort of get to relive and actually potentially even live for the first time some of those big bads. Yeah,
exactly. And also it gives you the chance, so if you are not ready for a tabletop campaign just yet, you can also just jump into the video game to get a feel of the world and the world of D&D pretty much brought to you digitally, I guess.
Yeah.
But the good thing is it's also co-op, so you can pretty much play it with someone else. And I'm not 100% sure if it's online co-op at this stage, but having that co-op sense to the game will give you the whole...
Do you still have that release that they sent you?
Yes, I do.
Bit of info. This is how I found out that it was actually published by Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, what was your...
I'm just looking at Beholder and a Lich weapon set. Yeah, some of this is looking pretty alright.
Yeah, so it pretty much comes out on June 22nd for PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Xbox One consoles, and the Xbox Series X and S. So pretty much everything but Switch at this stage.
Or Switch.
But yeah, I know pre-orders are now open, and there are steelbook editions if you're steelbook collectors like I am, or we are. But yeah, it's pretty much covering quite a few, D&D elements.
Yeah, bit of everything. It's a good way to get into it without having to, I guess, organise a full D&D group to play with. So if you're itching for the D&D fix but you haven't got a group to play with at the moment, could be a good place to start.
Yeah, exactly.
Technically that's not exactly D&D. That's just in the D&D world.
I think it's kind of bringing out their own standalone game, so it's not... I've never heard of Dark Alliance as a campaign. Is it... Do you know if it's a campaign?
No, I
So I'm going to guess it's a brand new story, but will still hold the same lore that you find in tabletop D&D.
Big question: are you going to pre-order it?
Oh yes.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, are you going to run it by me to pre-order it?
No.
Sounds about right. Yeah. I think I'm pretty keen to get onto it as well. Like I said, I might have to smash out some of the Baldur's Gate ones.
Yes. Well, I'm pretty sure Baldur's Gate came out with a 2-pack on PlayStation and Xbox, I think. But yeah, that is probably the main news that I've been seeing lately is the D&D video game.
I mean, the thing with D&D is there's so many different elements. There's so much different, new stuff and news coming out sort of all the time. So we're pretty keen to sort of have a bit of a news segment in every episode that we're doing, at least while there's new stuff coming out. And I believe that Wizards of the Coast have actually mentioned that they're planning on releasing a bit more content more often in the future, which is really exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think we're planning on having a bit of a look into the yet soon to be released, as of 21st of May, I believe, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. That's one of the new books coming out, so we're thinking of doing a bit of a deeper look into that one next week for some news, as well as some other bits and pieces. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to have a bit of a chat about the new bits and pieces coming out.
Now, has that been confirmed that if it's a sequel or prequel or
it's not
Curse of Strahd?
It's not actually
it's
not a campaign book. It's sort of more like extra settings and stuff like that. But
okay.
We can delve into that a bit more next week.
Yeah, definitely. So what does everyone think in the chat about the D&D game, the Dark Alliance? It's a good way to start chatting now because we'll be rolling the first giveaway in about...
we reckon 5 minutes.
In about 5 minutes.
I reckon. Should we start with Monster Manual? Do you think?
Yeah. So we're going to give away the Monster Manual first. So just to remind you all, it is a hardcover. It is the actual D&D Monster Manual book, not a knockoff. So that will be going away to a viewer.
Well, sort of moving away from the digital gaming side of things, but back more into your more classic D&D sort of stuff. How about we just have a bit of a story time, I guess. Move away from the news into story time for... I had a story in mind that I thought very much sums up my experience of playing D&D with my beautiful wife, which sort of came from a campaign that I'm still actually currently running. And basically it involved death, fear from my part, and a fuzzy little character named Harold.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, do you want to do the giveaway for the Monster Manual first?
Yes. So let me just have a look. All right, we've got a few people in the chat. So we're going to roll the first giveaway. Now, I will apologise if Stream Elements wins this.
And if the bot wins it, we might roll it again. Yeah. What do you reckon?
Alrighty. So this is for the Monster Manual, and the winner is going to be...
Did it roll? Nightbot
has won the... has won The giveaway. Let me re-roll that
Our
for you
computer,
guys.
our computer that is rolling for us decided to give himself the win.
Yeah, wait, actually might be able to... Oh, here we go. I can mark them ineligible.
That's excellent.
Okay. And Useless Gamer, you have won the giveaway. We will get in contact with you after the stream. Let me just write down your Twitch name. So I
Yeah,
definitely
make sure
don't
you do
forget
note that down. Well done, Useless Gamer. One monster manual coming your way. Yeah, but make sure we don't forget to actually send them out. That would be awkward, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Alrighty,
But,
so...
look, stay tuned though, because we are giving away a player's handbook towards the end of the stream as well. So same thing, you've got to be active in chat to be in it to win it.
Absolutely. We know lots of players out there who need their own player's handbook, so it's going to be a very fitting giveaway gift, I think.
Definitely.
So yeah, back to this this story, and I like the idea of doing some funny stories, experiences from our time in D&D as well in each of the episodes. So I think I'm going to have a little bit of fun at least with this section.
Oh, with Harold?
with
yeah,
Harold.
I'm still scarred by this.
So a bit of context for this story, I guess. One thing you need to know is what an almirage is. Now, if anyone who isn't aware, an almirage is basically a very cute bunny rabbit, only a little thing. However, it's got a unicorn horn on its head. They are
So it's kind of like
adorable.
the unicorn and a rabbit had a baby.
Very, very cute. Far too cute. And this is by far, by the way, my scariest moment in D&D, and I'm not even a player in this story, and it terrified me. So, and correct me if I get any of these details wrong. Basically, what happened is the party. So Alex's character was Gilly. So Gilly and the party managed to actually come across an almirage. I didn't anticipate anyone would actually... I should have, I guess, guessing how cute it was, but I didn't anticipate anyone would try and sort of befriend it and take it as a pet. But
I did.
Gilly wanted to do that. So I was like, all right, fair enough. We'll see how we go. And we set some skill challenges, some animal handling checks, a bit of role play played out. And of course, you rolled extremely well and managed to befriend
A nat 20, in fact.
This animal.
A nat 20.
I think it was a nat 20, and there was also an 18 in there as well. There's a couple of checks you had to do.
I think I used a bit of inspiration to...
You were keen.
Yeah, I wanted that almirage to be mine, so...
Very keen.
Yeah.
And so anyway, you ended up taking it with you, and you got into the habit of carrying around in your backpack.
Yeah.
A couple of days have passed, and in between sessions, Alex, very passionate about who... she ended up naming it Harold for some reason, I don't know why.
It was the first name that came to my head. We were I think we were near some temples, there was enemies, there was no time to trial names. Harold is what landed on the almirage, and I felt like it suited.
Makeshift name. So anyway, in between each session, I think maybe 3 or 4 sessions even passed, and Alex constantly is reminding me, hammering me into me in between each session. If Harold dies, I will get you. Like, she was not having a bar of Harold being in any danger. I was like, all right. Like, I can't, put plot armor around him, but just be careful. He'll be right. And I'm sure some people can probably guess where this story is going. He probably didn't end up all right. The group managed to make their way into I think it was a shrine. It was either a shrine or a temple or something of some sort. And basically, in one of the rooms of this shrine, there was what I described as a very lifelike statue of a wizard. And the group, in all of their wisdom, decided to cast a restoration spell to try and see if this was in fact a real person turned to stone. Now, this wizard, before he was turned to stone, was not having a good day. He was sort of in the midst of battle, he was freaking out a little bit, and he was sort of petrified during that process. So, when they managed to unpetrify him, having no idea what's going on and still previously being in a battle, he instantly attacked. And of course, what spell would a wizard attack with straight away?
Fireball. You just can't trust wizards.
Of course. I'm not going to... What else am I going to throw? Of course it's going to be a fireball. And basically, the wizard ended up actually killing one of the NPCs. A few people got down. It wasn't a good time. It was they weren't even close to full health at this point. And it was a rough time. Everyone was a bit hurt. And I still kind of put the blame on one of my players because I had actually forgotten that Harold was in Gilly's backpack.
And I knew he'd forgotten as well, so I wasn't saying anything.
And so this player... Have you forgiven them yet?
No.
I think you put the blame more on me.
It was a joint effort.
This player mentions, hey, what about Harold? And I had this sickening sort of drop feeling in my gut at that point. I was just like, oh no.
And I'm just sitting there like, you're kidding me. You're absolutely kidding me.
Again, for those of you who don't really know much about Almirage, it's got like, I can't remember, it's got like 4 hit points or something. It's very, very little health.
It's kind of like
it's a tiny
like
beast.
A kitten or something.
Yeah, it's very small. Very cute, very small. And so yeah, this thing had absolutely no chance of surviving. And I knew that I'm going to get my butt kicked after the stream. So what did I do? I think that's something that all husbands do when they know they're in trouble. They just lean into it and just get into even more trouble because you're already in trouble, so why not? So rather than making it easy, I described in tear-jerking, detail, Gilly pulling out the still searing corpse.
It still scars me.
Of Harold, holding Harold in her arms. Harold sort of letting out a cough every now and then as Gilly slowly watches the light fade from Harold's eyes. He
did not survive.
Was not good.
Fireball.
Yeah, and I can remember Alex went quite quiet for the rest of the session, and I can remember.
I think I shifted because this was over Roll20, so we're all on Skype or Discord. I'm pretty sure I just shifted my webcam because I was secretly actually crying because I was so attached to this fictional character that they obliterated in front of me.
Yeah, look, it wasn't pretty. I mean, I still don't think it was my fault. You guys made your decisions.
I disagree.
Anyway, the reason this is my most terrifying moment in D&D is because I can remember, we were already pretty deep into the session at that point, but I can remember trying to do everything in my power to keep the session going for as long as possible because I knew as soon as the session finished, I'm a dead man. Alex is going to come for me. I was terrified. So I can remember trying to push out that session for as long as possible. And then, what passive-aggressive thing did you do afterwards?
So for anyone that doesn't, fun fact. I'm probably one of the most passive-aggressive people that you will ever meet. I love sticky note passive aggression. I love subtle passive aggression, and I love making little screensavers on paint that shows my husband's dead stick figure body with a bit of blood and some title saying Ben the Murderer, and sticking that on his laptop and PC.
Well, no, you only put it on the PC. You only put it on my PC, but it automatically syncs to the laptop. So you put it on the laptop, but it automatically syncs to the PC. So the next time I hopped onto the PC to do my campaign notes and prep for the next session, I opened up the PC and I was like, oh, okay.
I was not happy.
No. But hey, that's one time.
Yes.
One time. It's not all doom and gloom.
So yeah, I feel like with D&D, whenever we come across a mythical creature or something that kind of looks, I don't know, fun, I just want to tame it. I just want a pet.
You need to be a ranger or something next campaign.
I think I do.
A druid.
Insane classes though. Clash had a good question just before. What are our favourite classes?
Oh gosh, handball me the hard question. That
I haven't played too many, but I can tell you my current favourite.
Oh, well, you go first.
No, I want to hear yours first.
I want to ponder. You've already got a favourite.
No, you go.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I certainly, I've got a few. I like. I'm a big fan of classes that have lots of fun stuff to do outside of combat as well as inside of combat. So I've got a soft spot for the rogue because that was my first ever character in D&D was a rogue, and I did enjoy that. I do have quite a soft spot as well, even though it's technically not legit. I've got a soft spot for the Blood Hunter class because I've just played that. It's a class that's on D&D Beyond. It was created by Matt Mercer, I think, created it, of Critical Role. I do have a soft spot for that class because I've just had a lot of fun playing through a campaign with that. I don't know. I think that would probably be my favourite class at this point. One of those two, either the rogue or the blood hunter, purely because I've had some fun experiences with them. In saying that though, I've got some really fun ideas for some upcoming characters, including a druid, a monk, and a wizard. So I think they could be up there once I've played those characters a little bit as well, because I've got some great ideas set out for whenever I get to play next. But like I said, I really like classes that you get to utilise them outside of combat rather than just, majority of the stuff is just in combat. Stuff like, the rogue, sneaking around, pickpocketing, that sort of stuff.
I think for me, so I haven't played many classes. For me, so far, this could change in the next year or so. I think my favourite class would have to be the barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in video games as well. I love playing tanky characters. I like being tank. And playing the barbarian has been a lot of fun just because when it comes to combat, I don't like being too strategic. I like to kind of go in there guns blazing.
Yes, you do.
The guns being my girthy barbarian muscles. But yeah, no, barbarians are a lot of fun. Especially how you build your character. And I guess, I think for me, especially if you choose to not go with, when leveling up, not going with the average dice roll, and you are lucky with your dice rolls, you can actually build that character to be quite a tank. Like my current barbarian build, she's pretty defense more than
ridiculous.
Offense. So yeah, she can barely get hit. She does a pretty moderate amount of damage, but yeah, she's more
of a defensive tank.
Yeah, she's more defense than offense, which is a little different to how I like to have my characters, because I like being offense, but playing a defense character has been a lot of fun, and the barbarian allows you to do so many crazy things where it's just kind of like they can be unstoppable, and it's...
So you're much more like, yelling and screaming, guns blazing, charge in, whereas I'm much more finesse, get creative.
Yeah.
I love creativity and thinking about, like, one of the characters I really want to do at some point, just for a bit of fun, which I think will probably die, is specifically just like a utility wizard. So give them like barely any combat spells, like just enough to get by, but then just like, weird, spells that you can sort of mix into strange combinations, do this really out there, strange, creative stuff. Where I think you're more like, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pretty much. I just think, those type of characters are fun.
Each to their own.
Yeah.
That's the beauty about D&D. There's no, within reason, there's no right or wrong way to play it. I mean, as long as everyone at the table is having fun, play whatever you want, do it. Like, that's the beauty of it. It's always different.
Yeah, definitely. Chat, feel free to drop in your favourite classes or the classes you want to play if you haven't played before, if you thought about like types of classes. Would love to read about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And every time you chuck in a class or something into the chat, you might get a bit closer to winning the next giveaway as well.
Which we will be drawing quite shortly.
Quite shortly. Very shortly indeed. So, do you want to draw it in 5 minutes? Give people 5 minutes, or do you want to draw it now?
Let's draw it. We'll give it 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
We'll give it 5 minutes. So
drop their thoughts in the chat. We might talk about some of the classes that you drop in as well, just to give you an insight. And
coming up shortly as well, we've got a few tips for people who are wanting to get started into the hobby / life-absorbing hobby addiction of mine that is D&D. Just sort of, some good ways to get started into playing the game. We do have some excellent jokes coming up as well.
Yeah.
Some D&D themed jokes. I've got prepared that Alex hasn't heard yet, so I'm keen to rattle the walls with laughter.
I live with a comedian, so laughing comes tiresome sometimes. So we'll see if they're actually funny.
Don't doubt me.
So there's a few classes in the chat. So Road, which we touched base on. That was one of your favourites.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always
a soft spot for your first class.
I only played D&D once. Was a marathon game of about 7 hours.
Ooh,
that's pretty good.
That's to be honest.
I think 7 hours is a good session.
Well, I think if that's your first session, it's probably a bit too long.
Yeah.
I think you need to build up that D&D stamina a little bit.
Yeah, I was about to say the D&D stamina.
Yeah, like I could play sessions for like 10 hours. I'd be happy with that. But I mean, I've gotten used to the game a little bit. I think if you're having your first game, maybe like a 4-hour session is probably a pretty decent length. Just so you don't overwhelm the poor people.
Magic users, yes. I personally want to try and play a magic user next time just to learn about spell slots and I don't know what else is about magic users, spell slots.
You can tell you've used magic plenty of times in D&D.
Yeah.
It is honestly, it's good to, I highly recommend to everyone trying to play as many different classes and characters as they can in D&D because it really is a totally different experience when you're doing something like keeping track of stuff like spell slots or even just getting creative with the use of spells. And, on the other side, getting to enjoy playing the game, without having to worry about, taking a hit or, getting to play the game in a more classic-esque sort of style. So I reckon that you want to try and experience as much as possible. Don't just niche yourself into one. Obviously you can have your wheelhouse, but,
Yeah, I think...
experience it all.
I think niching yourself into a class is, I guess... is easier done when you kind of experience all the classes out there. So, for example, I've only ever played quite brawly characters like Fighter and Barbarian. So I would say, that's why I think I want to try a magic user next, just so I'm not falling into the habits of just tanks.
Nothing wrong with playing those sorts of characters a lot, but it's just you might discover that you like a different style even more.
Yeah, to expand your horizons.
Someone has asked if we have a multi-class.
You have, haven't you?
To be honest, I have no issue with multi-classing. I think it can be great fun. I think it's certainly something you need to run by your DM before you do. But realistically, most of the time, I've experienced campaigns that often go long enough to be able to multi-class.
Oh, so you'd need a really long one.
Oh, you don't have to. You could multi-class at level 2, I guess, if you really wanted to. But I feel like most of the time, I mean, as is with a lot of D&D campaigns, unfortunately, real life gets in the way. People can't play all the time. You don't necessarily get to go right through very far or right to the end, which is why I'm super thankful that we've recently just got to finish a campaign. So, I think multi-classing is great. I like, again, anything that rewards a bit of creativity, but, not all the time. I think that it's good to experience the class, in its sort of singularity as well. Appreciate it for what it is. But I think multi-classing is still really fun.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you reckon? Should we give away the monster manual? We've already given away the monster manual.
Should we
give away the player's handbook?
Yes. Okay. So if you haven't spoken in the chat, now is your time to shine, as we are just about to roll the winner for the Player's Handbook. I was about to say Monster Manual as well. The Player Handbook.
Player's Handbook. PHB. It's the only one we haven't given away.
Okay.
Wonder if Nightbot will win again.
Oh, no, I took Nightbot out this time. I made sure to take out the box.
I can't believe of all things. I can't believe it won.
Alrighty, guys.
Alright, let's do it.
And Talia, you have won the Monster Manual.
Yes, Talia EEX. Very nice. No, Player's Handbook. You said
Player's
Monster
Handbook.
Manual again.
Sorry, yes, Player's Handbook, not the.
I promise we will send you the right one. Just make sure you grab those details as well.
Yeah. So we will message you after the stream. Make sure I get this name right.
There it is.
Okay,
Good
so
stuff.
to touch base back on our question, ways to get into D&D or how to get into D&D is what you said?
Yeah. So, and as we sort of said at the start, we want to make sure that we're going to touch on stuff for veteran players, for DMs, for people who play the game a little bit, tips and tricks. But we also want to really encourage people to get into the hobby. People that have wanted to start playing D&D for a while and aren't too sure how to get into it. So we thought to start off with, first episode, touch on how to actually get into the hobby that we're yammering on about. So I guess, a bit of a story about how I got into it. I very much remind my friend, Jack is his name. He, we're in a car trip one time on the way to Melbourne, and he says to me, "Hey Ben, have you ever played D&D?" I was like, "No." He's like, "I reckon you'd like it. Do you want to give it a go?" I was like, "Oh, all right, I'll give it a go." I'm thinking to myself, probably it'll be all right. Probably not going to enjoy it that much, but we'll wait and see. It'll be fun to hang out with friends. And then ever since then, my life is now consumed by buying special dice and talking about a game where you use your imagination more than anything else.
I can also remember when you came home. When you came home with the player's handbook and it had little notes in it and all that stuff, and I was looking at it and I was like, so I've known about D&D for a while. Always thought it looked cool, but never thought it was for me. And I remember looking at it and I was flicking through it, and the first thing I thought was like, nah, this is way too complex for me. Looks cool, but no. But then you introduced me to Critical Role.
I didn't even introduce you. I was just watching Critical Role. You happened to be in the room at the same time.
And I think I was also fangirling over Ashley Johnson as well. And I think it was just Ashley Johnson at the time.
Might have been Laura Bailey as well.
Laura Bailey. And I was just like, yeah, we're going to have to watch this. And I think I got through one episode or maybe even half an episode. And I was lying on the couch and I was talking to Ben and I was like, I think I might give this a go. I might give this a go. And I've never seen someone jump up so high and so fast. This is the fastest I've seen him move in my whole entire life.
So keen. I was like, hell yeah, I'm not going to pass that up.
And yeah, you grabbed me and was like, straight away, I was like, okay, let's go buy dice.
And we did.
Yeah, I didn't get the dice that I originally wanted, but...
She goes in, never played D&D, never even began to get close to playing D&D before. She walks into the shop and of course she says, "Oh, can I have those ones? The dice that are worth $200.
They were very pretty though.
It's like, no, how about we just get you a plastic set to start off with, and we'll see if you actually play the game first.
Yes. And then, that's how I got into D&D. I think that was, I think it was around the time you were talking about starting your first campaign, DMing, and I think it just fell into a perfect time, so I joined that.
But
and then loved it ever since. I still find myself to be not a very role play kind of character, but I feel like you don't have to be.
You're certainly developing that though, which is really cool. I mean, you certainly don't have to be heavy on the role play. I'm a big fan. I think role play is potentially, depending on the group, potentially the most important part of D&D because it's what separates itself from video game. You can get really immersive. But there's plenty of different ways to play the game. As long as you're having fun, as long as everyone's having fun. And
I feel like role play is something that you can practice and learn over time as well, especially if you're quite an introverted person. But
it's easy, I guess, to get into D&D when you've got mates around who play it. I suppose it's a little bit more tricky to sort of get into the hobby when you might not have that group of people around.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I guess a few tips, and these are pretty simple, but I mean, at the end of the day, it is pretty easy to get into the hobby, really. Especially, unfortunately with COVID hitting the world, stuff has become a lot more online, which has actually been really good for D&D because it's really brought out the capabilities of things like virtual tabletops like Roll20, stuff like that. So you don't even have to be in the same area as people to play D&D with them anymore, which is fantastic. So there's never been a better time to get into the hobby. So there's a couple different ways you can go about it. You can do, which you've never tried this, but you can go to Adventurers League. Can you remember that we've been down? I've been with.
Is that the local games?
Yeah, the local game store. So, if you've got a local game store, they might run Adventurers League, which is basically you go in and you pay like $10 or something like that to play D&D for a couple of hours. And you can keep coming back. They've got different DMs that run different games every week, or you could potentially try and play a campaign long term. I think that it's a great idea but I wouldn't recommend it for someone's first ever session. If you're absolutely strapped, can't do it online, certainly give it a go, and you might meet some new friends and whatnot. But I think the reason why I don't recommend it for someone's first ever session is it can be quite intimidating to go and play the game with people you've never met before. With complete total strangers in person, you can feel a bit, I don't know, you might feel a bit self-conscious, especially, as you said.
Yeah, especially if you're a new player and you're not used to the whole role-playing aspect of the game. But I feel as though another way you can find it is, especially if you want to try it online, that way it kind of takes that that social anxiety kind of aspect away from it as well, if you're a bit social in person. Is you can always look on Facebook groups as well. There's quite a lot of D&D Facebook groups, and
absolutely.
I know also you can look on Twitter and Reddit, because I'm sure, I think there is quite a few groups where people put an open call out for players, especially new players.
There's heaps.
And
that was actually going to be my next suggestion.
Yeah.
And as I said, especially with the online stuff now, again, it's playing with people that you haven't met before, but I think if you've got the barrier of your computer, it might not feel as nerve-wracking to play with new people.
And especially with COVID happening, it's also probably a preferred way as well.
Yeah, depending on where you are.
Yeah, depending where you are, and with the restrictions.
But I think that you've got so many options now. There's a million Facebook groups out there, and people post and they're looking for players, looking for DM, stuff like that. Reddit, Twitter, however you want to go about it, whatever your preferred social media is. I think that's also another really great way to meet people to play the game online, build up a bit of confidence. Then you might be able to go and play at your local Adventurers League if you're feeling a bit more confident after that. And then obviously the main goal would be to, the ultimate goal I guess would be to get a few mates together and actually, play. I love playing online, but I think playing around a table in person...
Oh, it's a completely different feel.
It's great to, catch up with your mates and whatnot.
Yeah, the website, Roll20, it's a really good resource to use.
There's lots of them out there, actually. I was just trying to think of what a few more off the top of my head were. I've exclusively used Roll20.
And from a player's point of view, Roll20, I find once you kind of wrap your head around where things are on the site, it is very user-friendly. And from a DM point of view...
It wasn't too bad to learn from a DM point of view. You can get very complicated and into it if you really want to, but it was pretty easy to learn the basics. I'm no computer whiz, but it was pretty easy to learn the basics.
And you can have multiple games going on Roll20 too. So we had 2 sessions on there, one that is still going and one that was on there due to COVID. And it's pretty much you just log into your profile and you'll see each session next to each other and you just go
pick
into
your campaign that you're going into.
And it just picks up where you left off.
It's a really handy resource. We're really lucky to have that. So like I said, it's a fantastic time to get into the hobby if you haven't before, because there are just so many options, so many different ways to play it now. I think online's almost become, I don't want to say the preferred method, but it's almost become, I think, the more common method to play at the moment. Absolutely.
Especially if you have players, say if you have a few players in your local area, but you might have a player that lives out of town or in another state, city, country, wherever. Roll20 kind of brings that possibility of being able to have a kind of like a table session, but online.
It's a virtual tabletop. That's what they're called, virtual tabletops.
Pretty much. And it also has you can use Skype and Discord for your calls, or you can use the actual site itself. So it's a really good resource to use. Yeah.
And but like I said, I still prefer the table. Prefer the table feel.
And I think, what was I going to say?
Lost your train of thought.
I did. Oh, no. So for new players as well, if you are new and you have friends that are also new at the game as well, if you're feeling creative and brave enough, there is plenty of resources out there to learn how to DM. So if you're struggling to find a game with experienced players, you can always try and run a game yourself. There's no rules behind DMing.
And hey, if you're looking for some tips to help you out, maybe tune in to, Married with Dragons, get a few tips every now and then.
Yeah, exactly. Because, anyone can DM, and you can pretty much, especially, you can follow, pick up a campaign book, add a bit
Homebrew
of...
a campaign?
Yeah, homebrew it, mix a campaign and a homebrew if you want to homebrew some aspects in a campaign, which I think you've done before, just to change things up a little
I think
bit.
everyone does. I don't think there's ever... I don't know, maybe sometimes. I don't think the DMs ever run campaigns by the book, to be told. Like word by word. Like, it's just not going to happen. They can't plan for everything that your crazy party's going to do, in the campaign. But, I mean, that's the best part. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel as though, Dungeons and Dragons can be a little bit... It can be probably a little daunting to get into, especially if you have... actually no one around you that's doing it, but just grab some friends and just
give it a go.
Give it a go. Try running a session. You can also look up resources on one shots as well if you want to just give it like a little trial and error. One shots are also pretty good.
So one shots, for those who aren't aware, are basically mini campaigns that you run in a single session. So they're nice, quick, easy little tastes of D&D. Still take a bit of prep time and everything, but the idea is that it doesn't have to go over a long period of time, whereas your classic campaign goes over generally months or potentially even years.
Yeah, because I think because we're currently in Tomb of Annihilation.
It's a campaign I'm running at the moment.
And that has been going for over a year now.
Yeah, it's been going for, I don't know, about a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half.
Maybe? I don't know, I can't
so remember. It's been a pretty... long one.
Yeah, pretty big one. But I mean, stuff like COVID and everything's happened in between. We haven't been playing every week. Obviously, life gets in the way a little bit sometimes, but that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon it's time for my amazing jokes?
Here we go, guys.
I've got two. I thought I'll try and aim for one every episode, but I've got two this week. I've got one that I thought is a bit easier to understand, even if you haven't played D&D before, and then another one which you might have had to play D&D to understand its pure hilarity. All right. Why do paladins wear chainmail?
Why?
Because it's holy armor.
Oh my god.
That's right. The second one's even better.
I feel like these are going to be cringe joke.
Second one's even better. All right. I did have a good chuckle to myself with this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, you ready?
Yep. Hit me.
All right. What body of water gives you benefits when you travel across it?
I feel like this sounds like a trivia question.
What body of water gives you bonuses and benefits when you travel across it?
I don't know. What?
The proficiency. Please don't leave me. The proficiency. I thought that one was really good. So anyone who hasn't played D&D before, proficiency bonus is basically when you're good at something and you get, bonuses to it because you have proficiency in it. And I quite liked that one. I thought it was fantastic. Oh dear. I think people are understanding now what you have to put up with every day.
Yeah. So just looking at the chat, so online option is cool, yes. Because parent life, it's tabletop can be a bit tough, definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I suppose it comes down as well to your group as well, because at the end of the day, life does happen.
Life
more important stuff. As much as I love D&D, I have to sometimes remind myself it's not the most important thing in the world. And so if you get a good group of people that sort of understand, okay, all right, we can't make it this week, and you just reschedule it until it can work. Having a good group is certainly, a big difference maker for your campaign.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, definitely online option is great. I think that, if you'd ever like to give it a go, I think that's certainly a good idea, because it's easy to sort of just, you don't have to worry about travelling anywhere either. You can just boot it up and give it a go that way.
Yep, you can probably do other stuff around the house, because the good thing with D&D is you don't always have to look at resources. You can use your imagination. So if you want to play, you could chuck a headset on, have your mic on. If you need to cook dinner or you need to look after your kids, you can still listen.
Well, to be honest, I think that they refer to that as theatre of the mind, where basically you imagine what's happening in your head. And I think that's one of the best ways to play the game. Like, obviously I love props and everything like that, and I have so much respect for people that can do that really well, particularly in person. Obviously it's a lot easier to do it on a computer, but particularly in person, so much respect. But I think there is also something quite different and something quite special with just using your theatre of the mind, because again, I think it sort of always helps with immersion. People can, see it how they want to see it and really, experience the story. That sounds... I'm so philosophical. They can experience the story, but I do. Yeah. I think it's got a good point.
Well, it just kind of reminds me of if anyone has watched Stranger Things. Since I was set back in, I don't know.
First season came out like 2015, 16.
Oh no, but the Stranger Things world was set back a little while ago.
That's set back ages. That was set back in the times where D&D was still thought to be Satan worship, which it's not. For any new players, it's not. I promise. As I'm sipping from my skull mug.
But when you watch the kids in Stranger Things play D&D, I think they pretty much draw up their maps. They're drawing their characters and drawing their scenarios. So it's all about imagination where it stems from. So
I mean, it's awesome and heaps of fun to have massive props and sets and everything, and it can also be awesome and heaps of fun to just have a bit of paper with some lines squiggling on it and your imagination.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as long as you can listen and you can imagine, everyone can imagine. You're pretty much prepared for D&D.
That's it.
Yeah, all you need is a bit of thought and a bit of imagination and creativity, and off you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's probably a good introduction to who we are, what we're planning on doing. Moving forward, we're planning on doing every Thursday, right? 8
same
o'clock.
time. So 8 o'clock every Thursday, and we'll be pretty much just covering basics of D&D and also just discussion about more...
Well, as I say, it's not just basics. We want to try and make sure we're doing a mixture. So we want to be trying to make sure that we're covering basics and stuff to get new people into the game, encourage people who want to try it out, but also have some tips and tricks for people who've played the game for a little while. I mean, I'm really keen to do some tips and tricks for DMs as well, because sometimes I can find... There is a lot of information out there, but sometimes I did find it a little bit difficult finding, DM info in a way that made sense to me when I was sort of starting out as well. So I'm keen to do a little bit of that, as well as have a bit of fun, a few stories... Poke some fun at you.
Yeah, definitely.
I think so.
But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed the first session of Married with Dragons. This is something that we're very quite passionate about, and can't wait to keep bringing you more D&D info and really bad jokes.
And before we do go, a massive thank you to Game on Oz or Goa for actually helping get Married with Dragons going, moving forward. A massive moving force behind it. So a big thank you to everyone involved there. We certainly have a lot of fun just chatting about this sort of stuff. So it's a great pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great, and thank you to Game and Oz for supplying the prizes.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll have some more in future streams. And
congratulations again to
Usless Gamer and
Talia Lee.
Yeah, so Usless Gamer, you have won the Monster Manual, and Talia Lee, you have won the Player's Handbook. So we will be in contact with you, so Game and Oz will be, and we'll grab your details so we can send you off the prizes.
Thanks again for joining in with us, guys. It's been fun.
Everyone.
I hope you had a bit of fun. Like I said, I'm keen to keep kicking it off next time, delving a bit deeper into all things D&D.
Yeah.
Until then, stay tuned.
Yeah, make sure to follow Game and Oz to get notified when we're live every Thursday.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
See you next time.
Thank you.